Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we know that those who buy U.S. grain, both domestically and internationally, must trust our grain inspection system functions properly. We know how important that is, and I certainly appreciate all of you willing to testify today and give us some insight on that. But this trust is a functional system, and it ensures that farmers, merchandisers, and end users all know they are operating within a system that's transparent, that is consistent, and it's science-based. I hear regularly from farmers and grain elevator operators in Mississippi who rely on the grain inspection system to protect the value of their grain and to ensure that they're competing on a level playing field with everyone else. The Grain Inspection Advisory Committee plays an important role in helping advise the Federal Grain Inspection Service navigate the technical and policy challenges of implementing the Grain Standards Act. And Mr. Bryant, I'm going to let you take this first one. I agree with your testimony that the Grain Inspection Advisory Committee serves a critical role in advising FGIS, and I appreciate your service and commitment on that committee and your enthusiasm as well. But given the technical nature of the grain standards and the weighing systems, the Advisory Committee's role is essential for ensuring that FGIS actions continue to facilitate the export of the world's highest quality grain grown by producers in Mississippi and across the country. Are there any recommendations you might make to improve how FGIS incorporates the advice and counsel by the Advisory Committee into the agency's decision-making process? Is there something that you would like to suggest today while you have our attention that we can listen to you on?
Well, thank you very much, Senator, for the question. I appreciate that. And the Advisory Committee is near and dear to my heart, having served 3 times and participate as a member of the public as often as possible. And it has been a great public opportunity for industry and service providers and producers for public record to talk about the needs and what we want to see the agency do. And we've seen some good work come out of that, and we have some recommendations in our testimony around how we can ensure that members are appointed to the committee in a timely manner. One of the areas that the committee has struggled with over the last handful of years is folks' term is a 3-year term limit, and they roll off, and new folks aren't nominated in time to be seated on the committee. And so we want to see some provisions around how existing members can stay on the committee until if their time expires at 3 years, until a new person has been appointed and nominated to serve and replace that person on the committee.
Yeah, it makes sense that you need that continuity, and you certainly don't need the void and the spaces there. I have a little more time left. But I'd like to highlight the importance of protecting the trade surplus in the United States has historically maintained the grain and oilseeds. But while our overall agriculture trade surplus has evaporated into what USDA now projects to be a $49 billion deficit in 2025, grain continues to be the bright spot for agriculture. And, in fact, America enjoys $65 billion of trade surplus on U.S. grains and oilseeds. Very exciting. This is a credit to our farmers who continue to grow the highest quality grain in the world, and it credits a credit to our transportation system, our infrastructure, including the critical American waterways, highways, and rail systems of how we ship this out. And it's a result of decades of diligent work to develop and to grow these markets and to protect these markets. Mississippi farmers contribute significantly to our country's grain production, particularly through crops like rice, soybeans, and corn. And these crops are exported down the Mississippi River and through the Gulf of America, let me get that right, which supports several grain transport operations in my home state. Ensuring we maintain the integrity of our inspection system is paramount importance to me, especially when it relates to our export markets. But this question is for all of you. What are some of the challenges that we face with grain exports, and what can we do in the Grain Standards Act's reauthorization to help overcome those challenges? If I'm a little bit over, but if you guys are allowed to answer that right now.
Thank you for that question. One of the things that you'll likely hear each of us talk about is the need for developing technology. And one of those reasons is down at the exports, the port locations, there's not consistency of the volume that there used to be. I remember when I was younger, we would have, it was always harvest time at harvest time. We had to staff up for that, and then usually there was natural attrition, and then you'd get through the summers. Well, because of just how the market has changed, there are a lot of ups and downs as far as volume. And one thing that we really think could help in that and maintaining consistency is bringing forth more technology within the grain inspection system so that we can rely on this technology and more consistency among people. So that's something that we think could really help.
Thank you.
The only thing that comes to mind for me is as farmers have added on-farm storage for grain, it has changed the profile of when that grain comes to market. And so if there are areas where government can target funds to help farmers in certain areas to plus up their storage, to maybe make it a little bit more predictable, and then also education for farmers, because using that storage effectively doesn't happen by accident. You do have to know what you're doing. So I think there's an educational piece there too. Thank you.
Very good points.
And I think just a timely and bipartisan reauthorization of the U.S. Grain Standard Act, it ensures that continuity and consistency of the program. And then to agree with my co-witness, Ms. McKesh, we've talked about it for a couple years now, technology. What technology can we adapt and adopt for grain grading? I think it's paramount.
What kind of technology are you referring to?
So, and I might defer to Kia, but we've been looking at a lot of different possibilities, but I think the biggest one, and frankly, I've been hearing about it since the first day I walked into Cargill over 20 years ago, and it's visual imaging technology, to be able to look at a grain sample and say, what's the level of damage?
Gotcha. Yeah, very important, and could be speed up things. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.